Video that has just come into our newsrooms. The video is on the Surface device. I'd like to cut across to that, and this is a viewer video on social media that shows the attacker standing behind. You see that video? He's standing behind. That's the attacker there with a sling bag. He has his hands on his waist. He has his hands on his waist, and he's watching Shinzo Abe give that speech at the campaign. He's watching. He's watching. He's got a sling bag. He's waiting, and he just kept watching before he crossed the road, came to the middle of the street, and then pulled out his weapon and opened fire. That's him seen in the video, the attacker seen in the video, the attacker seen in the video. And let me actually show you a little close-up of this video that has just come into our newsrooms. I'm just going to show you that video. You can see that there are people from Shinzo Abe's campaign who are here, including security and perhaps members of his party, and all of them are facing Shinzo Abe. You can see Shinzo Abe and the attacker. You can see here in this video, in fact, even Shinzo Abe is seen at one point here. This is the attacker. Shinzo Abe is seen here. The attacker is right here. The attacker seen here with a grey t-shirt, and a sling bag. And at one point in this video, you can even see Shinzo Abe. Here it is, the video, that's Shinzo Abe. And you can see the attacker there. He was just monitoring, he was looking at a very interesting video. Very interesting video, because at one point it zooms in. I wonder why it zooms in on the attacker, or the focus was on the attacker. And was it a coincidence? I don't know, but this is a very, very interesting video. Says a lot about how this may have been planned. But certainly in this video, what you can see very clearly is the attacker wearing a mask, wearing a face mask, a sling bag, and holding his hand on his waist, observing the security, observing people around Shinzo Abe. He's looking to his right, he looks to his left, he looks straight. He's waiting for the right moment. He's waiting for the right moment to strike. And I think this video says a lot. Let me get in Mr. Jitendra Ojha. General Bakshi is also joining us. Jitendra Ojha, if I can get you in on this video, and then I'll get in General Bakshi.
It is very difficult to establish. Till date, we don't know the absence of many top global leaders and popular leaders. So here, it may be, there's a possibility that this man was psychologically unstable. He had a reason. But it appears very unusual, because someone to plan and carry out an attack like this requires some degree of instability in any case. But we cannot rule out at this point of time whether there was a larger motive, whether someone had motivated him. How did he manage to have access to a weapon like this? What was going on in his mind? So I think we have to wait till we get to know these details. But one thing is clear: this is not usual, as everyone has pointed out on your panel. Second, he was an exceptionally popular leader, and sometimes popular leaders do have a lot of expectations, and sometimes popular leaders, despite good work they do, sometimes some mentally ill people, they can react in this way. But I still feel that the repercussions are far too high. He was one person who was, if you see his policies, he was one person who started reversing this kind of so-called pacifist policies of Japan. He started saying that their Article 9 has to be modified, and Japan had a genuine requirement. So he was pushing for modernization of defense forces, having some kind of legitimate military, you can say, military, another thing for his defense requirements. So the kind of activities he had initiated, it is very logical to assume that there would be forces, not within Japan, outside Japan, especially in that region. Those forces would be very unhappy. And some of those forces have very devious ways of operating. He recently had, for the first time in the history of, you can say, 100 years or so, two prominent intelligence agencies holding a press conference and saying how the system was being subverted, how an open society is far more vulnerable to subversion. And this is a very classical ways of, deception being used, or single assassin, lone assassin being used for a political or strategic purpose. So, yes, at this point of time, these videos are saying something. It appears he is a lone man. He is unstable kind of thing. But we do not know. We have to wait for some time. But given the kind of inclination Prime Minister Shinzo Abe had shown, he started reinterpreting Japanese history. he was not satisfied with the kind of history which was being talked about. He was able to revive a kind of national pride amongst people. Of course, Japan's specific traditions he maintained, but then he was also very clear that Japan cannot handle aggression. Japan has a right to defend itself, protect itself, and protect its values. Even his, I would say, overtures towards India has to be seen in a larger context, and that larger context was that he wanted to assert some kind, rather, I wouldn't say some kind, but he wanted to assert genuine civilizational identity of Japan and wanted to protect it militarily also. And then his economic policies, you see. So despite having stepped down from the post of Prime Minister, I would say he was a person who was very relevant. He